Hey girls, it's Bree.
It's Cece.
It's Angela.
And you're tuned into
For the Girls.
We have a very short write-in today, but it's juicy. It comes with a lot of things for us to talk about for sure, especially you guys all know me, Angela, Cece have very different journeys to marriage, and all three of our men are very different. Dre and Sean are very similar in a lot of ways, but all of our men are very different. And we as women are very different. So this will be exciting. But before we jump into our help a girl out, I have a review. I just have to find it. My phone be closing out on me. Okay, let's see. So this is from episode 39, How to Know If Someone is Ghosting or Genuinely Busy. America says, what I learned through you all talking through the scenario today is if I look like a duck, if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a bleep. She left a blank. It's a but also literally we have to get better at understanding as women as we are dating in a relationship what is going on with me, y'all. I'm sorry, I cannot see these small words.
Also literally we have to get better understanding as women as what's dating in a relationship
and what's just two people getting to know each other to possibly date. Thoughts on that being a topic? Helping women identify the difference? Love y'all, by the way. All right. We said it out loud.
And let me just read that one more time to make sure I understand. So she said, literally, we have to get a better understanding as women as what is dating in a relationship and what's just two people getting to know each other, possibly to date. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the wording is a little tricky.
I got it. But you know, the review is everything.
Exactly.
That's what matters.
I
and
like
I appreciate the topic also. We could probably add that in.
Identifying the difference. Yes. Yeah, we'll definitely do an episode on that. I think that's actually a really good topic.
Yeah. Thanks, America.
Thank you, girl. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for
girl.
supporting. And thanks for writing in, y'all. The reviews really mean a lot to us, especially when we can read them.
Side note, Bree can't see.
Yeah, no, I'm really blind.
Me too, girl. I'm like,
if it's more
that's
than
why
one
I'm
line,
the reader,
like,
y'all, if you haven't put it together.
They're probably like, why is Angela always the one reading?
Because I can see.
she can see and she reads well.
Yes.
Me and Bree be struggling slightly.
It's bad. It's bad.
Transparency.
All right, Angela, let's hop into today's episode.
So, hey, ladies, enjoy the girl talk. Having trouble learning how to soften up and let my man lead in the relationship. Being raised by a woman who taught me to always take care of myself, I find it challenging to let a man take control and make decisions for me in our household. He's the very easygoing person, but not me so much. Any advice for alpha type women and how to let go the need for control, perfection, and tips to be more submissive? Ooh, this is a good one because I think we're all pretty alpha-ish up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've learned that we had to
Shut
shut
your mouth. No.
I don't want to call it soften. I don't even like,
Well, yeah.
I like to call it partnering. And sometimes partnering is you just gotta chill out. You gotta chill out and let him take control. And it's really tough. So let's break it down for the girls. So what is an alpha woman? What's y'all's definition?
I think an alpha woman is a woman that's hyper independent. She takes charge of her own life in ways that maybe may not allow any external help. And she's very headstrong on what she wants and where she's going.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, same. I would say alpha woman is someone who's like a natural leader and is used to like having their say be the end all be all situation.
Dictionary.com says, you guys are both right. An alpha female is a powerful and successful woman, often in a leadership role. Alpha females are often described as intimidating by men and women alike. So you guys are pretty good. And I want to say that all three of us here are in leadership positions. So yeah, so we can really try to break this one down for you guys. So, okay, I guess before we like hop into the relationship part, I want y'all to kind of like just give a brief overview of how you're a leader and what that looks like.
Yeah. I also wanted to break down a little bit deeper into like why I became so alpha and so independent. So I curated my alpha persona at a very young age because my mother is not an alpha female. She is very much so a beta female to a fault in some instances. She is the most kind, she's the kindest, sweetest, most loving person you will ever meet. Like my mom reminds me of a little Mexican nun.
Mother Teresa.
Yeah. And I love that about her. She's really like, she's honestly an angel walking on our earth. But she has some shortcomings where she will not stand up for herself. She will not speak up on an opinion that she has. And a lot of that stems from her upbringing. And, you know, just the male figures that she's had in her life have all kind of put her down in a way that I think really messed with her self-esteem and her confidence. So growing up, I saw this in my mother, and I saw her accept situations and circumstances in her life that were hurtful to her, and I wanted her to take more action, but she didn't. And so growing up, I told myself, and I don't want to say this like in a way that will hurt my mom, but I told myself I wanted to be the complete opposite of my mom. And so I made it a point from a young age, when I started noticing this, and I was conscious of it, maybe like around 13 or 14, that I wanted to be nothing like her. So I wanted to curate my personality to be very strong and independent and not need a man for anything. And that's who I was for many, many, many years. I mean, up until the age of like 28 when I met Shane, that's who I was. That was my identity. And I liked that because it allowed me, it really helped. It also helped with my confidence. It helped me to navigate spaces, to enter into leadership roles, because I was naturally very dominant and loud and assertive and aggressive in some instances. But ultimately at my core, that really wasn't who I truly was. I mean, it was, but then it wasn't. Like there were aspects of it where I was being hyper alpha instead of just my natural alpha. Like I almost have like a mix of alpha and beta in me, right? And so when I met my now husband, I still was that woman, and we clashed a lot in the beginning, and there were many times where I tried to run away from our relationship when things got hard, or when we had to have hard conversations, or there was some conflict that I wasn't comfortable with. Like if I couldn't win the argument, I was like, well, this is bullshit, I'm out. But that wasn't helping us. Yeah. That wasn't helping us grow. It certainly wasn't helping me grow as a person. So I had to really relearn what being an alpha woman looked like for me and with my partner. Luckily though, I also have my husband is very, very alpha male also. So in my situation, it helped me in a way because he also was like, listen, we're not doing this. Mm-hmm. And I like that because ultimately I wanted to submit to my man. I wanted to be a queen to my king. So I don't know. I kind of liked it like when like he was like, pin me in my place. Like, he was checking me. I was like, ooh, okay. Like, because like no man was like, I never allowed a man to check me before because I had never been in an actual serious relationship prior to my husband. So I was gonna let no like sucker off the street, or that I was like in a situationship like check me. I was like, oh no, but we're not doing that. Like, I'd never done that in my entire life. I'm not gonna start with you. With Shane, it was completely different. Like, I wanted to follow him. So naturally, it kind of broke down a lot of those barriers that I had put up over the years to protect myself, because I saw that this was a man worth following. He showed me through his actions that he was the leader that I should follow. But also, my husband allowed me to be my own leader in my own right. Like, my husband in no way tries to dim my light. He loves that I am strong and I'm bold and I'm charismatic and that I am an alpha female. He loves that about me. So he's not trying to dim me, but there was a balance that I had to relearn with now being in a relationship with a man that I did ultimately want him to lead myself and our family.
No. Wow. Yeah. So, okay, my story. I'm kind of similar to you. My mom is not an alpha female. She's a beta female. Even though, you know, she has leadership roles at work, at home, you know, she culturally, that's how it goes in the Philippines. You submit to your husband.
Yep.
Same. What he says goes.
Same in the Mexican culture.
It's just, that's culturally what we saw and what I saw. And my dad is an alpha male, 150%. Sean sometimes says I am the female version of my dad, which it grinds my gears every time he says that, because I don't want that to be the case, because I don't like the harshness and the intensity that comes with it. However, you know, twofold, it has served me well in my career. I'm a teacher, as you guys know, and obviously you have to lead little people, but not just that. It's just I eventually became the teacher lead of our team, and now I own I'm an owner of a whole business.
Shout out Future Stars.
Yes, the Future Stars Enrichment Program. If you're in DC, check us out. Okay. All right. Anyways, that's not the point. But you know, you don't realize how a lot of stuff you saw growing up really primes you and preps you to be able to do this kind of work, the kind of work that we do. And so I do think being an alpha female definitely helps me in respect to my career and lots of other little places in my life too. I too had to learn, and I'm still learning to this day, to submit to my husband at times and to let him lead. And we'll kind of get into that, but I just wanted to kind of give you the background on me. Same thing, beta female mom, that's what I saw, alpha male. And another thing is they raised me to be able to do things without a man. You should be able to support yourself without a man. You should be able to do all kinds of stuff without any kind of support. You should be able to do it on your own. Yep. So that's how I was raised. But they also raised you simultaneously to find a man, to find a husband, start a life. It was so confusing. Yeah. So we'll get into all of that. So go ahead, Bree. Yeah. She is definitely an alpha female over here as well.
And my story is opposite of you guys. I was raised by a single mother who for sure was the alpha female, and it really messed me up because from a young age, I saw my mom as like this super strong person, and that was very helpful growing up as a young adolescent going into, you know, becoming an adult. I like moved out before the age of 18, had my own apartment. Like I was always the leader in everything that I did. Cheer captain, senior class president, like any club I was a part of, I was the head of that club. Any team I was on, I was the captain of that team. And I found joy and validation in being the best at everything that I did because I saw how hard that my mom worked. And it was kind of twofold. It was like on one hand, because I saw my mom working multiple jobs, or working a job and being in school and taking care of foster kids and me and my brother, I was like, I want to make her proud. So I went above and beyond in everything I did to be like, hey, you're enough. And like, there doesn't need to be a dad in my life for me to be a great human. And then on the other hand, I didn't know any different in terms of like working and in relationships. I'm like, follow a man? Are you joking? Like, I don't follow anybody. And this is what also messed me up, because now you have the situation where the father wasn't in the picture. So I had no like authority figure as a male in my life ever. The only male that I grew up around was my uncle, and he had no authority over me. He never would even think of yelling at me. So I had no man who was ever putting me in my place or telling me what to do, or that I could trust enough to even accept guidance from or have a conversation with. And then at 19, I dropped out of college and started my own business. So I never even had authority in a sense of like a work life. Like I never had a boss. I never had someone dictate or tell me what to do, what I couldn't do. And the thing for me was trying to find balance, because what I realized was it wasn't just affecting my dating life, it was also affecting friendships, because I would start to look at my female friends almost in a sense where like I was their leader, and like I was very like organized and like alpha and like, this is what we're doing, this is how we're gonna do it. And even now today I have to like pause sometimes and be like, oh, you're doing it, stop doing it. But that overall, that's what I would say is that's how I came into my independence, was that threefold situation. And then once we talk about how we got into a position of allowing our men to actually lead us, I'll get into the whole scenario of Dre and I, because that was a time.
I think that's for all of us. Like, when you're so used to a certain way of life, especially all three of us kind of went through phases of exploration where you're just learning how to do it on your own. And then this guy comes who you think you could see yourself with. It's definitely an adjustment, for sure. And I think it's something that you will continue to adjust with your whole life, especially if you are with a laid back guy. And I totally understand and can relate to you, because my husband is
super laid back. Sean is so chill. He just like, yeah, I mean, okay.
I don't think whenever I like tell him, yeah, he got so angry, they'll be like, what? I'm like, yeah. So he is very laid back. He kind of goes with the flow. He'll tell you on the camera today, I let her go with the flow to an extent. So the way that it works now is he wants me to be happy. So, and he wants me to flourish, and he loves that I'm a teacher. And every time, if you ask him, if he comes to an event or something where I'm in that role, he says he gets very turned on. It's very weird. I'm like, I was being a teacher. How is that attractive to you? But whatever. So yeah, he loves that about me. However, again, to a fault, he will stop me in my tracks. And it was a journey of getting there, for sure. Yeah. So do you guys want to talk about your journeys? Do you want me to go first?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll go first.
Okay, go ahead.
It was funny because I was actually being submissive and had no clue that that was the case. And when I found out that that's what I was doing, I was like, no, oh, that's what you were doing? Or like, wait, was this manipulative? Yeah, I got you. So basically, when we were in couples counseling, marriage counseling, or pre-marriage counseling, we had got to the part of the book about submission, and I'm reading, and it's like talking about what submission looks like. So specifically, it is when, as a woman, you trust your man enough to understand that when he makes decisions, he's only making them with your best end result in mind. So it's like allowing and trusting someone enough to basically, like, whatever they say, not to question in a sense where like you can't, or they're controlling, or it's a dictatorship, but it's that you just already know, you have that much certainty that whatever this person is saying or doing is for your betterment. And so when we were going through that part of the book and was asking specific questions, Dre's mom was like, you know, you are saying that you have all these issues with submitting, but that's what you've been doing this whole time. Like when it comes to like finances, for example, like our finances were together when we were dating, because we had a full-time business together, that was our only form of income. I never once questioned Dre about our finances. I never once questioned things that in my alphaness, it would make total sense for me to do that. Certain things that I would like fight back on, where it was so funny. It was Black Friday sale, and y'all know I'm a sale girl, okay? Don't put nothing on sale, I'm gonna get it all. I'm cheap when it comes to like, I'm not gonna go spend a bunch of money on like one thing, but a bunch of little things, we will rack it up real quick. And it was funny because Dre was telling me, he was like, like my cart was at like $1,000 or something. And I was like, but everything's on 60% off. And I wanted it
That's pretty
so
good.
bad that I wouldn't
You get
even
so much stuff.
No, we ended up getting it. We ended up getting it. And it was I still wear a lot of the stuff now. It was a great investment. I was like, I knew what I was doing. But I was so upset because he told me no. And for me, I was like, it's a no, because again, I trusted him so much that I was like, I didn't feel like it's him telling me I can't have something. I was more so in a headspace of knowing that if he told me no, there was a reason why. But I was so upset that I wouldn't even get out the car to go into his granny's house for Thanksgiving. And his mom had to come out and talk to me. And because he saw how affected I was and how broken I was about it, because I did feel like he was taking a sense of my power away, he ended up allowing me to get all of this stuff, but explained to me why he was saying no. And from that time on, we only had one like financial thing where I really was like going against him, and he was like, look at me, I need you to trust me. Remember the submission thing? Like, I don't ask this often because we work really well together, but right now I'm asking you to trust me. And I literally like boohoo cried. We went to an emergency therapy session, and long story short, I trusted him. What I wanted was this very expensive apartment. I wanted it now. I wanted it that day. And I was like, I'll go get it by myself. I will break up with you. I threatened to leave him because I was like, you're hindering me from living the life I want. I want that place. What is wrong with you? We live in a freaking studio apartment. I'm grown. Help me. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, we can afford it. And I was so mad. He asked me to trust him. And as much as it hurt me, because again, I had this moment of feeling that I know better and forgetting that my husband knows me. He knows my heart. He knows my desires. He knows what I want. And he is a man of God, and he will lead in a way that will make me ultimately happy. About 2 weeks go by, and what happened? I got that exact same apartment at like 50% discounted because my man a G, and he knows some people, and things worked out. And what I got was so much better, because then I got a new car, and like I got all these things where he's like, you are questioning our lifestyle, and he's like, I know what I'm doing. I know what you want. Like, I love you. I'm here for you. Like, I'm working for you. Right. And that's when I realized, like, oh wait, submission actually works to your benefit as a woman, because the only way that you will allow yourself to submit to a man is if you feel that you respect that man, if you know that he's not going to do anything to harm you, put you in a bad position. Everything he does is for you to be in a better position. Mm-hmm. And when you find that man and you give him that level of submission, for him, it's the ultimate level of respect that you can give. And when a man feels respected and he loves you, oh baby, the blessings just roll on in. But so long story short, with Dre and I, there were times where he would feel that I was testing him, or where I would almost do like this ultimatum thing. And naturally in our relationship, he was leading and I was allowing him to lead. But there were certain aspects, and what I came to find out is those things were tied to triggers that I had in past relationships. So if at one point someone told me I couldn't do something, I felt like, oh, tell me I can't do it, I'm gonna do it. And it had nothing to do with Dre. It had nothing to do with the people in my life who have done that. It had everything to do with the trigger and the mindset that I have when someone tells me I can't do something. Mm-hmm. And I had to grow closer in my relationship with God and my spirituality and who I was as a woman to understand that something like that will only dig me into a deep, dark hole. Right. If I take what people say and try to prove them wrong, you know how tiring that is? You know how much of my peace is stolen when you just try to do the opposite of what people say. And I realized my identity was so tied into proving people wrong, and it came from daddy issues. And that's where, again, submission to me was not what it really was. And when I found out that it was what it was, I realized if you're with the right man, submitting is very easy. Most of the time, these women have issues submitting because it's to a fool that you shouldn't be submitting to in the first place.
That's exactly what I was going to say about my situation. Yeah. For me, I never submitted to any other man because they weren't the men that I was supposed to be submitting to. When I met Shane, I had no problem. I can't say I have no problem. I had very little problem wanting to submit to this man. It almost came like naturally. It was just like, ooh, you it, baby. Let's do this, you know? And so for us, though, what we had to learn as a partnership was that I'm better at certain things and he's better at certain things. So I don't submit to Shane in every single aspect. Like I'm just not like blindly submitting to him in all ways, you know? Like I obviously respect my man. He is my king and I do follow him. However, I'm the queen and he knows that if I feel strongly about something and that I've done all my research and I feel like this is the route we need to go, he's going to essentially submit to me and trust my leadership and my guidance. So like for us, we had to learn each other's strengths because like I'll give you an example. One thing is in my household, I run the house. Like in every single aspect, I manage the house. I manage our finances. I am our house manager. My husband goes out and he goes hunting. He's going out to make the money to bring it back home so I can then run the house, you know? So I submit in the very traditional sense where I allow my man to go out and do whatever he needs to do to be able to come and bring food back home. While I'm at home managing everything else outside of that. So like Shane knows if there's even something regarding organization or planning, my man's not a planner. I'm not just gonna like be like, oh, Shane got it. I'm just gonna submit to him because he's the leader. Like I know, like I can trust him. No. Shane don't got it. Okay, Cece got it.
And he know he don't got it.
And he knows he got it, right? So we understand each other's strengths and weaknesses, right? So I think when you think about submission, it's not just don't think about it as like, oh, I have to follow my man in every single aspect, or I have to just bow down and agree with him in every single aspect. No, sis, if he's wrong about something and you're right about something, he also needs to learn how to submit to you in certain aspects.
But that in a sense is a submission because as a woman, what you're doing is you're having faith and you're submitting to the fact that you know he's going to get to the right answer.
Absolutely.
And he's going to make the right choice.
100%. Right. So, you know, but I will say that takes time to navigate. And to Bree's point, you got to make sure that you're with the right person that you want to submit to. And also you guys understand you are very much so equally yoked and intertwined with each other so that you understand his strengths and he understands your strengths. And he's doesn't feel any type of way when he sees you taking the lead on certain initiatives that he knows that you're just going to do a better job at, you know? Like, it's okay. Like, girl, you are an alpha female. And your man should be able to respect that and not feel threatened by that. You know, as long as you're not overstepping something that he felt very strongly about, you know, like you have to be very much so in unison with each other.
I was just about to say, it's almost like I feel like God made the alpha female for the alpha male. Like, and you say how Dre, Shane is an alpha male. Dre's definitely an alpha male. You can see it when he's out at events and, you know, people flock to him. He's charismatic. My husband, chill, but also an alpha male. Like, he points out that sometimes the alpha male isn't the loudest person in the room. They don't have to do that. And that is 100% my husband. He's 100% confident. And because of that, he's able to be confident in me in certain areas. When it comes to planning trips, has Sean done anything for our anniversary trip?
Nope.
Probably not.
Does he pick hotels?
Nope.
No.
He has no idea how to do that. And he was 100% confident in himself to say, I don't know how to do that, so I'm going to let you do it. To me, submission is trust. It's trust. You have to trust that person 100% to be able to submit to them. To me, submission is giving your husband grace and respect on a daily basis. And as an alpha female, I'm not gonna lie to y'all right now. That was tough in the beginning because I was so used to doing it on my own. It's gonna be this way, getting what I want. And I think the first moment, very big moment, I realized that he is in control and I am going to listen to him. Very large, very pivotal, is when it came to how we dealt with his son and his mother moving forward. It was very much, Angela, you can't do anything about it. And I don't think I realized I really couldn't do anything about it till, oh, you really can't have no control in this.
Yeah.
And I tried a little bit to like force him to say things in a certain way or make it be the way I want it to be. No, it literally always came down to him. And in the end, and this is kind of separate from Bree and Cece, because when they met their husbands, they didn't have kids. I met my husband and he had a kid. And if you're dating a man with a kid, the best way to handle that is submit to him. Let him handle that, because it's not going to be pretty 10 years down the road and you're controlling the narrative.
Yeah.
It's not. He controls that 100%. And I had to trust him. And I think that was really the first test, the first pass. I had to trust that he could handle that correctly.
Yeah.
And he did. He did 100%. It wasn't easy. For about 5, maybe the first 3 years, it wasn't easy, but he kept handling it and proving it time after time. And the trust was built. And I'm not to say that all situations were like that. A lot of times he had to sit me down and be like, no, it's not going like that. A very good recent example is I'm trying to get our garage organized. Obviously, I'm the organizer. And our garage isn't big, so we're putting stuff up. We put 2 big shelves on the ceiling. So he said he wanted cabinets. And I was like, cool. You know, I got a new washer and dryer. He gets cabinets. Cool. I tried to slip in there another garage shelf ceiling. I'm like, it can fit. I got the little ladder, like a little alpha female self, got my little measuring tool, went up there. I was like, oh, another one will fit. He was like, no. I went and ordered one, showed up to the house. He said, we're returning this. I was like, no. So I tried to like work on him. I was like, look, this can go up there and then we can take this from out of here and put it up there. He said, no, it's not happening. And like, instead of getting upset, like I probably would have done years ago, I was like, damn.
Yeah.
I tried it.
I mean, I'm the same way.
In the end, he came out and told me, Angela, we need to get rid of all of this. Why do you need 3 shelves? You don't need all this stuff. You're talking about moving and doing this and, you know, putting another human being in this house. Why would we need a 3rd shelf to store all this crap in the house when we just need to get rid of stuff? And like, it was so hard to be like, damn, he's right. Yeah. He's so right, because half of that shit up there,
I know,
and the pack and play.
Girl, I'm the same way.
What's funny is
I'm so bratty.
Everything that he said about that, it's all things that you said you wanted to do. It's a plan that y'all came up with to make you happy.
So I'm like, okay. So I did the little Amazon return. He picked it up with his strong ass and put it in the car. And we returned it. I submitted. I did what he told me to do. But it wasn't because I'm his slave. Yeah. Submission is not slavery. I'm going to do what you say, master. Yeah. No, it is, I trust you enough to make the right decision for our family. And he's 100% right. I can't imagine moving. I'm going to give away that brown pack and play. I don't know why I have it up there still. Yeah. I'm going to give away that little turkey roaster thing. I didn't use it this Thanksgiving.
Yeah. And you know what? Most times they are right, especially when talking about buying more shit. Because I'm the exact same way. My vice is shopping, and it's typically shopping for clothes and shit that I don't need.
Side note, I hate that he works. God did it. He knew what he was doing. Sean works from home, so he sees every package that comes to this house.
Can't releases. My man goes into the office every single day so I can hide shit. But anyway, I'm the same way. Like Shane has had to tell me, like, baby, we need to slow down because we're trying to make this big purchase, and I want to, we want to pay off all of the credit card debt before we blah blah blah. And so I'm like, I don't want to. Like, I'm kind of bratty, y'all. So,
yeah, I am too.
So there's many times where I'm also like, I don't want to. But one thing my husband does say is like, it's with him, it's never a no. It's not right now.
Yeah.
And so it's like when he tells me that we have to slow down, on our shopping and, frivolously spending on stuff that we don't actually need, it's for a reason.
There's a reason.
It's not just because he wants to just be like, he wants to have a dictatorship in the house and like, I told you no more shopping.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's because we all collectively as a unit decided that we have this other goal that we're working toward. So in order to get to that goal, we need to do X, Y, Z. And we agreed that, one of those was going to be like, Cece can't buy as many clothes this month,
Yeah.
So I also have to kind of get checked in a sense of like, we had an agreement that we were going to do this, and you're not falling in line with our agreement. So you need to kind of slow down and check yourself.
Right.
It never feels good in the moment, but they're always right.
I hate it when he told me no. I bought that little shelf. It came to the house. I was like, God damn it, he's just gonna say yes. He's gonna let me do it. He said, no, we're not. And I was just like, it was a shock to me because I was like, oh my God, I had already had plans to put stuff up there. But he was so right. And there usually are. And I think that boils down to, it has to be the right person. You can only submit to the right person. And that kind of brings me back to the scenario. Well, she didn't really give us a scenario. She more so asked, for tips on how to submit to him. Mm-hmm. So I know when we first read this together, we had questions. Mm-hmm. So our questions to you, sis, is, so do you feel safe? Do you feel like you trust him?
Is he the type of leader that you want to submit to? Mm-hmm.
Have you communicated on shared vision, shared goals? So Dre didn't want you to buy the $1,000 purchase because y'all had the shared goal of getting to the next spot. I can't buy the ceiling shelf because we got the shared goal of moving soon.
Also, I would want to know, like, has he verbalized anything to you about like, I wish that you would do this differently, or I wish that you would allow me to take charge in this way?
Yeah.
If he has, and he's very explicitly said that he wants to be more dominant in a certain aspect, then, hear him and really like make it a point that when you are in the next situation where he wants to take the lead and you're naturally always like very vocal or just hands-on with doing something very opposite of that, bite your tongue. Like, you have to have more self-awareness and like, okay, you know what? Right now, it's not about me. It's about my man. This is his time. This is his moment. I'm going to let him have it. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to bite my tongue and just let it be.
For me also, she put in there how to let go of the need for control and perfection. And I told y'all a few weeks ago, I had like a mental breakdown in my car outside my job because there's so many events going on back to back and they weren't turning out the way I wanted. And one of our friends said to me when I came back and told her about it later, she said, sometimes we have this idea of perfection and how things are supposed to go. And it's never going to be like that. It's never going to be perfect. And I say this to say that always having this idea for perfection and control, it really plays into my issues with anxiety. Mm-hmm. So, that's a piece of advice to you, my dear, is, you're blessed enough to have a man who seems laid back. Let him handle some things, sis. Like, half of that stuff I was having anxiety about, if I had told Sean about it and communicated to him, he would have handled it. And so, I mean, it's part of the beauty of having a partner. So,
and I want to say this because I'm a big perfectionist and I love control. And Dre knows I control a lot of things in terms of like my peace of mind, which the biggest thing is my space. Like Dre knows poor thing. Like, you're not just putting anything up on the wall. You're not just having any color in my home. Like, it was something that I had to communicate with him, that it's like, I'm kind of like OCD in that way. Like,
Yes.
I get anxious over certain
Yeah.
colors. Like, can you live with this? And he made that decision. But I like that Angela had mentioned that submitting is trust, because basically in this situation where she's saying what she's saying, sometimes the easiest way for two people to come together where submission is something that is not about a woman being soft or weak or less than, but is being empowered, is that you have built enough trust with him to, one, when the situation that happened with Dre and I, where he ended up allowing me to get those clothes, was because sometimes a man knows that as a leader, he has to let up sometimes and be like, you know what, I'm gonna let you have this one, because I'm gonna show you that I'm not doing this to hurt you. I'm doing this because I want you to see that, one, I want you to be happy. I'm not gonna sit here and watch you be in tears over a purchase. But two, I want you to know that, like, this is why we can't do this. We've argued about this for days. You was acting away, not even wanting to come into my family's home. Like, you did all of this over some items, and what it did was show me how petty I was being. And in him allowing me to do what I wanted, it allowed me to gain more confidence in him, and knowing that he does know me and he does want me to be happy. And that little L that he talked made our situation going forward so much better. And we never took L's like that again in the future, because that situation, he let me have my way. And so a man that lets you have your way in times where maybe it doesn't make sense, it's not that he's less of a leader. It's that everything, being a leader is about strategy. It's about getting to the end goal the smartest and simplest way possible. And if you are with somebody and your end goals are different, you can't submit to that man as a leader, because he's going to lead you in the wrong direction. And so the biggest thing that you could do is focus on building trust within each other, making sure that you are aligned in what you want. Because if you're following a man that's leading you to the left, but your end goal is to be on the right, baby, you not doing it right. You know, like, being submissive doesn't mean just submit to any man you're in a relationship with. Submission is specifically meant for marriage. There's
say it again, Bree.
Submission is specifically made for marriage. You are not supposed to be submitting to no boyfriend. You are not supposed to. Submission in engagement is like is practice for marriage, because how can you get to marriage with, you can't just jump from boyfriend to husband. And so that's your practice time. That's like, get all the kinks out now, because once you're in that wife position and once you are that queen, you are going to have certain responsibilities and you are going to have certain control over things based on who your partner is. So I say all this to say is that the way in which you would submit to a man is going to look different for every man, and the way that a man leads you is going to look different for every woman. We are led in three totally different ways by our men, and our men have us in a way where we submit in very different ways to them. And that is something to keep in mind. I think a lot of women who get out of a failed marriage, they struggle with getting back into this space of submission, because they have been steered in the wrong direction, because they was with someone and things didn't work out. And so now the idea of jumping back into that doesn't make sense. But it's to just remember that it's possible you were just with the wrong person. And if you're getting divorced, you absolutely were with the wrong person. So I think that's important, is to focus on what Angela said first, is just trust. Don't get so in your head about being submissive, especially if you're dating or engaged. You have so much time to figure that out. But what you shouldn't be doing is spending time with a man who you don't respect, who is not showing up in a leadership way, who is not making you feel confident by the choices that they're making and how they lead their own life. One thing you can't do, if you can't lead your own life, you definitely can't lead me.
That's 100%. And I was just about to kind of piggyback on that. Just even being a leader now and leading people. One thing that I've learned as a leader is you are going to crash and burn if you are micromanaging everything. There is no way you can get to the end goal, the shared vision, if you are doing it all. There's no way. The best, in my opinion, the best way to be a leader is to know that the people working for you have certain talents. The people that you're working with have talents. Foster those talents and let them shine. Let them have those responsibilities and trust that they're going to do it. Translating that into an intimate relationship, you are working with someone now day by day to have the best life possible. There is, if Sean was a bad leader, he would be micromanaging every little aspect of our life. He understands, like you said, his talents lie here and my talents lie there. So he, as the leader of our family, allows me to flourish in the areas that benefit our shared vision, and he continues to flourish in the areas that benefit his vision. Yeah. But in the end, with a simple example as the ceiling shelf, someone who thought, oh, I can make our life more organized if I do this, then the third. I was there. I was going there. He made the final call. He made the final call. And because he saw the overall vision. So I think our advice is what I'm picking from everybody is A, you need to have a shared vision. Well, no, A, it needs to be with the right person. Mm-hmm. Wait, go back. A, it's marriage first. Wait. Hey, I was just like, hey, number one, submission is for
marriage.
Can you cut that up and make that to a clip? Please stop submitting to these boyfriends, y'all. Seriously, I get it. There's like in boyfriend, girlfriend land, you're learning.
I want to prove that I can be a wife.
No. Please, though. Cut that up into a clip. Make it breezy.
It's opposite.
He
should be proving to you.
That's A. And I think co-A is that it has to be the right person, right?
Co-A.
B.
A.1.
B, you need to trust this person. You have to trust him. Like you have to figure out how to trust him. And whatever is blocking you from trusting him, triggers, traumas, whatever, you got to work through them or it's not going to be successful.
And as Dre says, a man that is worth like leading or worth following is a man with a plan. And going back to her control issues and the perfectionist stuff, you will have way less anxiety if you have a plan in action. And the plan is, again, two people coming together and having a mutual understanding of what the end goal is. It's a lot easier to follow someone or to submit to someone when you know where you're following them to.
Okay.
So putting that plan in action is everything. It's going to give you peace of mind personally. It's going to give you peace of mind in your relationship, and thirdly, it's going to hold your man accountable because he knows exactly what the plan is.
It's that shared vision. That's C. Yeah. So we did A, B, and C.
I think we should stop it there.
We hope this was helpful. I think the end message we want to leave with today is understanding that being submissive is not being less of a woman. It's not
being a servant.
It's not being an alpha male. It is not being weak. It's not any of those things. It's not being a slave for sure. And so really focus on finding someone you trust and everything that Angela just listed in our A/BC situation.
Had to organize it out for y'all.
Hopefully this helped out. And sis who wrote in, please let us know the questions that Angela had asked earlier, because that was something that was crossing our mind. We're like, I mean, is he even worth having this conversation about? And we don't know unless you tell us. So explain to us the type of man he is, where your confidence is with him, where your trust is with him, and what the dynamic of your relationship looks like. And we will definitely respond back via DM. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thanks. Make sure you write into forthegirls@relationshiprestored.com. Follow us on Instagram at Cece Costin, at Angela Hanna, and at Brianna Aponte. And until next time, submit. No, I'm just kidding.